Yeah! What's going on, guys? Big Rob back. Survived the taste test videos over the weekend. If you haven't seen them, whoo! The next day was a doozy. But both beers, we taste tested 2 beers. They were a huge success, so that's what counts. Today, guys, we are going to brew. At the moment, you will see I'm sanitizing everything. I got my Cooper's DIY kit sanitizing. I got all my other jazz, kit and caboodle sanitizing. We are going to make, I actually got the inspiration from this off of a YouTube brewer. Don't know the guy's name, but I will tell you he called his beer Galaxy Red Ale. You Google that, you'll find them. Maybe I'll put a link under here and give him a little kudos, a little shout out, you know, all that good jazz. Anyhow, I'm not following his recipe. I've come up with my own, basically with some leftover supplies I had kicking around. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to use a Cooper's Real Ale, just like my man that I was just telling you about was using. We're going to do that. At the moment, I have it sitting in hot water. We are also going to steep some grains. So we got to come up with the name of this bad boy. I'm going to use some crystal grains. So we'll work on the name. We're not going to call it crystal ale, but we'll come up with something here. So I'm going to steep some grains in the pot for about 30 minutes. Then what I'm going to do is I'm not even going to use a hot bag. I saw he didn't use a hot bag to do that or a cheesecloth to do that. So I'm going to try that. And then I'm going to strain out the gunk and dump the rest of it into my good old fermenter here. I'm talking about the strained grains. Then I'm going to add some more adjuncts. See, real sophisticated terminology here. I'm going to use 2 pounds of Golden Light dry malt extract that I had. I'm also going to use, what do I got here? I've got 3 pounds of Golden Light extract. I'm going to put that in as well. And then we're going to throw the hops in there. I've got 1 ounce of Northern Brewer hops and 1 ounce of Willamette. And I'm going to use them both. And we're going to just basically put those all in the fermenter, throw the yeast in. I'm not using the can of goo yeast that came with the Cooper's kit. I actually got myself some Windsor British style beer yeast. I'm going to use that. So we got to hydrate that as well. So we'll be doing that in this video too. So hang tight. Next steps is I'm going to get the grains steeping because I'm going to bring the water up to a boil. Once it's up to boil, I'm going to take it off the pot, put the grains right in there, direct, no cheesecloth, and I'll let them steep for about 30 minutes. Hang tight, be right back. Okay guys, I'm back. Couple things with today's brew that you want to get down and understand is typically when I do specialty grains, I will take the temperature up to about 165 degrees Fahrenheit. I will then take it off the heat, put the grains in a cheesecloth into the water I just brought up, and I'll let it sit there, and typically it'll stay around 155 degrees Fahrenheit is where you want. I'm following what I saw on my YouTube buddy that I don't even know what the heck his name is, that I told you about earlier, Galaxy Real Ale or something, Red Ale, Cooper's Red Ale. Google that, you'll find him. I'm doing what he did, and it kind of makes sense to me because what I'm going to do is I'm bringing this water up to a boil, and then I'm just going to put the grains in there, stir it up. I'm not going to let it scorch on the bottom, taking it off the heat, and I'm going to let it steep for 30 minutes. It's going to start out hotter than I typically would. I'm wondering if he does that because I'm not going to be doing a boil. I'm not boiling. I'm not doing a 30 or 60 minute boil. So I doubt these are unsanitary, the grains, but perhaps, you know, people handle them when they package them. Maybe that's why he boils them, the water, and puts it in. That's what made sense to me. I don't think it'll hurt it much. We're going to try it. We're going to find out. I'll do my taste test once it's done. I think it'll turn out great, but I'm betting that it's to sanitize these grains while he takes it up to boil, because once I put it in there, these will become sanitary very quickly in the boiling water, even though I'm not going to keep it on there. The next thing I get going on is I do have the liquid malt containers sitting in hot water to loosen the goo up, so that when you pour it in to the fermenter, it pours nicely and not all clunky, and you know, it becomes more liquefied. That's the word we're using, liquefied. What else do I got going here as we're waiting for this to boil? I've got this pot here ready to go. Once these start steeping for 30 minutes and we get closer to where I'm going to be using the extract, the Cooper's kit, I will heat up the water I have in here to boiling so that I will then, once I empty the can of goo into the fermenter, I will then fill it up with the hot water, swish it around to get the rest of the stuff in there. So because we're not doing a boil today, we're not doing a 30, 60 minute boil, what have you, everything needs to be sanitized. You have to sanitize everything that comes in contact with your beer. I even sanitize my countertop because cleanliness is close to godliness, especially when it comes to the beverage of beer. Be right back, guys. All right, guys. We have some live action taking place. Here's what I did. I took the, I got the pot to boiling, just a light rolling boil. Dumped the 1 pound of grains into the water. Immediately stirred, so I'm not scorching the bottom. I'm continuing to stir because it's a lot hotter than I usually would put the grains in, like I said. However, we're following along what my homie, who I do not know, did with his Galaxy Cooper's Real Ale concoction. So follow along with that. So I'm going to stir this for a little bit, then I'm going to put the cover on it. I'm going to steep it. Right now it's 7 o'clock, so I'm going to steep it till 7:30. 30 minutes of steeping, and then we'll be back where I'll be straining all the grains out of the liquid and dumping the leftover wort into the fermenter. Getting places now. Exciting stuff. All right, guys, here we go. Next step is I told you about the yeast I was using. It was a British style beer yeast from, there you go, bam, Windsor, Willamette. So what you do with this yeast is you have to rehydrate it. And the instructions say to add to 4 ounces, which I just basically fill up that container. It doesn't really matter how many ounces of water. And the temperature is supposed to be between 86 and 92 degrees Fahrenheit. 30, what is that? 30, doesn't matter. Just under 35 degrees Celsius. That's probably 32 to 35 degrees Celsius. Basically, I just use lukewarm water out of the tap. You don't want to go with boiling water because I've heard you could kill the yeast. I don't know if that's true or not, but just don't do it. Don't play with it, man. So that's it. So that's hydrating that for 15 minutes because we are now down to what? 7:20, 7:19, 10 more minutes of steeping the grains. I've also got some hot water warming up. I've got some water warming up in the stove. It's good to have, as well as a kettle going to heat up some water. And the reason why I got some on the stove is because I'm not doing a boil, so I'm not going to have a lot of warm water when I put the wort into the fermenter. So this time around, which is very strange because usually I'm fighting with too much heat before I can pitch the yeast into the wort. This time the water may be too cold, so I'm going to, thinking ahead, say using the old noodle. I decided to heat up some water in case I have to dump some really warm water in to bring the temperature up to the right pitching temperature, which I typically like to get it to anywhere between 20 degrees Celsius and 28 degrees Celsius. So that's where we're at, guys. Back soon, back in 10 minutes. Action's starting to get crazy. Things are starting to heat up, starting to get wild. Whoa! Look at this contraption I got going on here, guys. So what happened? This is ingenious, if I do say so. What I got going on here is we steep the grains for 30 minutes. In hindsight, I should have used more water, get more volume of the grains steeped into, and this is just me trying to be old scientific and know what the hell I'm talking about, but I'm speculating that I didn't use enough water when steeping. Oh, son of a bitch. That's what I'm really concerned about, that I bumped that bad boy and down they go into the fermenter. Not cool. So here's what I did. Let's start again. Should have used a bigger pot, more volume of water, would have made more wort, okay? However, who knows if that really makes a difference. Maybe the smaller water, it was just higher concentration and the sugars released from the grains and it'll be just fine. So it's all good. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to, I got a strainer positioned over my fermenter, very delicately I might add. I'm shocked it didn't fall in when I just bumped it. Trying to get it to drain every last bit of goodness into it. There will be floaties, no question. My strainer has big holes in it, so if I were to do this again with this style, typically I put the greens in a cheesecloth bag and steep them in the hot water. This time my buddy didn't, who I'm watching, Calling my buddy, don't know the dude, but he didn't do it, so I said, what the hell, I'm going to try it without. But there are going to be floaties because my strainer has bigger holes than I think his did, but that's okay because the Cooper's Dealio that I love so much, if you don't got one, you need to get one. It has a spigot up about an inch or so off the bottom, so all the floaties usually fall to the bottom. So that's what I'm hoping will happen. Doesn't matter, grains are healthy for you. Okay, what's next? So next stages, what I'll be doing is I'm going to add the 2 pounds of dry malt extract in there while the water's still warm. I did add I added 2 liters of cold water at the bottom of the fermenter too before I dumped the hot water in, because it is a plastic container, so I didn't want any, any melting of such container to occur. So now I'm going to dump these in there, stir them up real good so they get melted, dissolved is the correct word, before the water gets too warm. And I'm going to get that damn contraption off of there before I dump all those grains into my damn beer. Talk to you soon, be right back. Alright, dry malt extract, 2 pounds of the bad boy is in the fermenter. And now I'm hoping the water is still warm enough from the wort, not the wort, yeah it is wort, it's all wort, but from the grain steeping that it will dissolve the dry malt extract, because that stuff can get a little chunky. I'm seeing some on the sides already, chunked up a little bit, but we'll stir it all as we continue to add stuff. I may add some hot water to help dissolve it. And yeah, I'm seeing some chunks. I don't want chunks. Chunks are bad. Chunks are bad. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing chunks. So that's why we got hot water going. I'm going to add some more hot water to this to get that to dissolve, and I'll be right back. Yeah. All right. I think we're good. I added quite a bit more hot water to it to get it to dissolve. I will point out that the dude that I kind of hijacked his recipe a little bit, what he did, I'll point out what he did. I didn't want to do that, but what he did is the pot where he steeped the grains, he then put that back on the stove, got it going hot again, added all the adjuncts. Adjuncts are the shit that you add to the wort to make it even better, such as the dry malt extract, liquid malt extract, hops. He added it all in and even brought it to a little boil and stirred it up and then dumped it in. I didn't do the whole 30 to 60 minute boil just to get it all to dissolve. Okay, I didn't do that, thought I knew what the hell I was doing, figured I could just add some hot water and it seems to be working. So we're good. Next step is I'm going to be adding the 2 liquid malts. One's the Cooper's Real Ale bad boy and the other is my 3 pounds of Golden Light liquid malt extract. So I'll be back as soon as those are added, and we'll go to the next stages. Alright, here's where we're at. 3 pounds of Golden Light liquid malt extract into the primary fermenter, stirred it all up. Then added the old Cooper's Real Ale. Now you notice that there's, remember that hot water I kept? That's in there steaming away. And what I'm doing that for is to get all the goodness out. I'm going to take my little spoon, I'm just going to stir that around, get all that out. Now here's a little key. When you go to pick this bad boy up, don't use your bare handsies. Did that once. Not smart. Boiling hot water, metal can, burn the shit right out of your hand. Yeah, not cool. Anyway, I make sure I try to get as much as possible here, guys, because this is obviously the, oh, there we go, it's all over the counter. That's the problem using one hand videoing and brewing at the same time. Alright, so that's good. So what I use is I use my my good old mitt here that I try to put on with one hand while talking to you guys. Don't know if I'm going to be able to hold that, so I'm not even going to try. So that's it. Be right back. We are moving to the hop stage. Alright, so hop time. I've changed my mind. It's my prerogative to do that shit. This is my video. I'm making my beer. I can do whatever the hell I want, so I've changed my mind. I told you I was going to use both ounces of hops that I had. Northern Brewer 1 ounce, Northern Brewer 9.6%, 1 ounce, Willamette 4.1%. Decided I'm only going to use the Willamette. I'm going to call this the Willamette Real Ale. Here's what I'm doing, guys. Taking the hops, I'm just dumping the bad boys in there. You could use a bag. It will reduce the floaties. I don't mind the floaties, and I usually don't see many in these because of this Cooper kit. But you can put them in a little hot bag, put a sanitized weight in there, like a nice marble or something, to weigh it on the bottom. I see a lot of people do that. I'm just going to go like this. Dump her on in there. Get all those hop skis in there. And I did it while the water was still warm. I haven't added the cold water yet. That'll help dissolve them a little bit. Sometimes I'll even add hops right into hot water. If you watch my Mr. Beer video, what is it, the Mr. Beer Howling Red Ale, dump that right into some hot water, melted them right down, and then added it. So that's cool. So now, guys, all I'm going to do here is fill this bad boy up to 23 liters with cold water, keeping an eye on the temperature gauge. If it stays under 20, then I'll have to start adding some hot water. So as I go, I'll adjust that, and I'll be right back for the yeast pitching, which is sitting right there, rehydrating at the moment. I need to rehydrate myself. Time to pour myself a beverage as soon as I've done this jazz. So I'm going to pick up the pace because I'm getting a little thirsty. See you soon. And we're at the grand finale, guys. Worked out great. Grand, didn't have to add any hot water. I probably altogether put, I would say, close to boiling water, maybe 4 liters, and the rest was cold, and it's working out perfectly. Right now we're heading towards 24 degrees, which is that's Celsius, which is perfect. No problem pitching yeast there. Yeast is ready to go here. Has been hydrating. Take the cover off of this bad boy. I was just letting it settle out. What I'm going to do is, my spoon is sterilizing. Everything needs to be sterilizing. I put my spoon, my can opener, my scissors, everything in the sterilizer. But right now what I'm doing is I'm scooping the foam out of the way. And I'm going to put the yeast right in that spot, as long as I can get to it before it comes back filled. Getting the yeast. Here we go. Heading here. There's the spot. That's the ticket. That's the spot. What in the hell? What in the hell was that? iPhone ran out of storage. I have no idea where it left off in the video. I do know I was pitching the yeast, which has now been officially pitched. I was saying that I use tap water because I'm on a well, and my water's wonderful. Actually has a great taste and helps with the beer. Don't know why I was telling you that, but I was telling you that. So we're done, guys. Rock on. Now to clean up the homebrew frickin' mess. That's the shitty part of homebrewing. Lots of mess to clean up. I will now put this away for probably 2 weeks. I like 2 weeks. I'm actually going to take a hydrometer reading. So we're not done. I'm going to take a hydrometer reading to get the OG original gangsta, original gravity. And I'll be right back with that. Then we'll be done. OG time. Alright, guys, so I've got this all set up. And I already know what it is because I took a look at it instead of screwing around with it while you guys are watching and screwing it all up. This comes in at 1.052 is the original gravity. Where's the bad boy? Right there. Should be able to see it there. A little bit of foam. I might even call it, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, 1.053. That's the original gravity. So I'm going to write that down. Then we'll work at the ABV, alcohol, the alcoholic content in one of our, when we bottle the beer. We'll do that. So you want to record that. Tune in to the next video and I'll show you how to calculate the alcohol content of your beverage. That's what I got, guys. We are out of here. That's going away for 2 weeks into a room that I keep quite cool, actually. Room temperature at the most, I'd probably keep it at about 10-15 degrees Celsius. You can definitely go up higher than that. Room temperature is fine, 15, 17, 18 degrees Celsius. You just don't want it real warm. You don't have to get crazy with it. So that's what I got, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you like the video, freaking give it a like. If you don't like it, don't worry about it. It's all good. Comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know that you're out there and brewing. Got any questions? Hell, I'll give it a shot. See if I know if I can respond to them. And subscribe to the channel for more of my badass, crazy home brewing videos. I'm out of here. Thanks for tuning in. Later.